Thank you, April. State by state, the stay-at-home restrictions are being lifted in phases, and that'll mean many of you who have adopted a stay-home, stay safe lifestyle will be called to re-enter the world again and even head back to work. So that return to the workplace can be a little stressful. It's likely to cause anxiety for some and maybe some conflicts for others. So how do you navigate this responsibly? And if you're in charge, how do you make sure that your team is ready and they're being heard through this unique experience? Joining us this morning is Donny Starkins, a mindfulness coach who has been talking with people about this very issue and how to navigate that transition back to work. And it really, Donny, brings up a lot of questions and bottom line, the need to acknowledge that everybody feels differently, and for some, they might be quite nervous.
Yes, good morning. So this is a super important practice that we'll start to implement as we get back into our new normal and people are heading back to work. But I always say from a leadership standpoint or from corporations that your team health has to come first. So your leaders, whether you're a leader or you're being led by somebody, they're going to play a key role to help guide and support their employees in a kind and compassionate way. Because yes, everybody is going to deal with this differently. And so we want to empower our employees to be able to make decisions around their own health, knowing that we're all in this together and each person has its own unique circumstances as they go back into work or they choose to still work from home. So we have to practice compassionate leadership.
And Donny, at least one of the good things that's going to come out of all of this is maybe a better focus on mental well-being and how important it is to make sure that we're able to access resources that support us emotionally and psychologically. Talk to me about the interest there and maybe some changes you'll see long-term, and also the steps that you would encourage a leader to take as they do welcome their teams back.
Yeah, I believe that one of the most important roles that probably most companies don't have in place right now is somebody like a chief wellness officer, completely different than your HR department, but somebody that's in charge, in a sense, of the well-being of your company. So also being able to level up mental health programs and giving tools and resources. Most of these resources right now are going to need to come from online, but we want to be able to create conditions for employees to actually feel supported. And so the model I've been teaching is this look, listen, feel, and respond. So if I just broke that down, we want to, if you're a leader, and honestly, this goes for, we're all leaders in some sense. So maybe this is for your family too. You could use this, but we want to look and take time to check in and see the energy levels of our employees, and then listen, practice mindful listening, give your team space to be open and honest about how they feel physically and emotionally. And then feel, there's going to be a range of different emotions. So we want to take time to acknowledge how your team is truly feeling, and then respond. Because in times of stress, it's so easy to get frustrated and let that frustration get in the way. So we want to pause and give ourselves time to skillfully respond. And this is where mindfulness comes in.
That is a great outline, Donny, and it seems very doable. And I love that the mention of feeling also in terms of the workplace, because I think a lot of times, especially maybe between a supervisor and somebody who's an employee, right now people feel unsure of themselves. The economy is very strained, and so people don't want to maybe express themselves, but coming at this conversation with openness and actually having some real human emotion and exchange of feeling, and not being afraid to show weakness necessarily or have your feelings of nervousness be construed as weakness, I think would be great for team building and just for everybody's benefit.
Yeah, and that's why I believe in a lot of ways this was happening for us and not to us, because from the workplace or at home, we're able to have more deep and meaningful relationships to be able to actually express our emotions and know that being humbled or having humility is actually a sign of strength and not a sign of weakness. It's okay to not be okay through all this.
Donnie, but as we wrap up, I just want to bring up one other point, sort of unrelated to this, but I know a lot of people have been talking about as they're wearing masks outside, and there's a whole, some people choosing to and not to, but those who want to, some feel almost that it feels a little panic inducing, or they're surprised at how they're reacting, feeling a little bit claustrophobic. It's maybe bringing up experiences that are unpleasant to them. What advice would you give in terms of mindfulness, of kind of getting through those moments where you're adjusting to this new normal, and literally it seems to be impacting your breathing?
Yeah, I think it comes back to meditation. That's going to be my biased answer as a mindfulness and meditation teacher, but building the relationship with your breath. The moment we lose our breath, like everything changes. If you think about when we get startled or scared, the very first thing that happens is we gasp. We lose our breath and we end up out of our bodies. So being able to maybe do some deep breathing exercises, any type of controlled breath practice is going to help build the relationship with the one thing that gives us life, and that's our breath.
Very good conversations to be having. Donny Starkins, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. If you'd like to contact Donny about lecturing or mindfulness coaching, you can visit him at his website, donnystarkins.com. Donny, thanks.
Thank you.